Happening, folks? Welcome to the channel. Normally, I know quite a bit about the movies I review because I've seen them before, and if I haven't seen them before, I always watch them twice before I allow myself to form an opinion. But today, we're going to throw all that formality and organization right out the window, and I'm going to review this movie as I'm seeing it. One of my friends recommended this movie today, and all I know about it basically is what's in the wiki sidebar description. So, 2008, distributed by Warner Brothers, $20 million budget. 20 million budget. A college student witnesses her friends dying after receiving mysterious voicemail. She sets out to unravel the mystery behind their deaths while trying to stay alive. So it looks like it's basically a mashup of every movie between 1998 and 2007. My friend also suggested that I wouldn't be able to make it to the end of the movie, which is why I've decided to review it here in real time with all of you fine folks watching. If anything feels different in my presentation today beyond the obvious change of scenery, the explanation's in the thumbnail. So let's see how this goes. Oh, there's a building on fire. Is that a hospital? Little girl who's going to be our protagonist, and this is her tragic backstory, maybe? Okay, we've transitioned right into the backyard from the end of Kill Bill, apparently, with a pretty girl who owns that is an Egyptian Mao cat. And I only know that because I had a friend who used to have one, and they're like $1 zillion. I'm already relating to these lifelike characters and their lifelike struggles. It's good to connect to people in the movies. Creates engagement, you see. So she just told whoever she's talking to she's not seeing things, and they've thrown a bottle of prescription pills in front of her, and a minute ago there was a hospital on fire. Oh, they green screened the expensive cat onto the rocks. I bet you the cat's agent insisted on that. Oh my, talk about Dorothy stepping out of the house into the land of Oz. Whoever the colorist is in this movie, wow. You've got a pretty girl and a postcard setting, and you've made the water look like blue Kool-Aid, and the girl somehow has Donald Trump's complexion. Good work. Where the hell is this actually supposed to be? Seriously, any second now, it's like Shaolin monks are gonna pop out and start manicuring the Zen gardens with their big giant rakes. Jesus Christ, she's got koi fish too. Of course she's got koi fish. Of course she's got koi fish. What would be the point of that backyard without koi fish, dumbass? Somebody dragged her into her own koi pond. I do kind of feel like she deserved it though for like literally sticking her face into the water. Like, why would you do that? Why not just borrow one of the monks' skimmer nets? That's what those are called, right? Skimmer nets? Is that one of those? That looks like one of those bath bombs. I used to steal like dozens of those from my mom when I took baths as a kid. I remember them being everywhere in the water. Actually, maybe that was Maltesers. Fuck your expensive cat. That had to be CGI, right? There's no way they just actually... I'm gonna let that one live on in my head exactly as it is. So on top of getting dragged into her own pool and somebody kicking the shit out of her cat, her phone's malfunctioning somehow now too. Pretty rough day for our orange girl, that's for sure. Now we're getting opening credits? Was that 2 prologues? I've already forgotten the first one with the blonde girl and the well, obviously I haven't forgotten it. And we've transitioned to a party now. And that guy's familiar. Oh, I definitely know her. I think I know an older version of her. Shannon something. The mom in Sinister Part 2. Yeah, it's the mom in Sinister Part 2. I just totally cheated, folks, and checked. It is her. Her name's Shannon Sossamon, and she was in Sinister 2. And by far, my favorite bit of info from her bio is she is of Irish, French, Dutch, Hawaiian, Filipino, German, and English ancestry. By that point, wouldn't you just settle on, like, I'm a human being? Oh, she grew up in Reno. No wonder she's desperately clinging to her 23andMe ancestry spit test result. This guy, I am pretty sure, was on Sons of Anarchy, and he was in AVP Requiem. That's Alien vs. Predator for all you normal folks with lives and families. And he dated Katy Perry, and his backstory is, like, not funny at all. If I'm wrong, I'll have to delete this, but I'm pretty sure he killed an elderly woman, and I think this happened like 10 years ago. Also, if I'm not mistaken, during the same incident, he beat up and killed a cat. Hollywood, you bunch of fucking weirdos, Hollywood. So they've sat down to a proper dinner in the middle of a house party because, well, that's just great ambiance for a meal. If you've never tried it yourself, give it a go. If you don't have access to dozens of random people, just cook your chicken and make your salad and bring it to a local bar when there's a band playing and plop yourself down on the stage in front of them. Makes for a real Hallmark moment. Memories are made of this. So the doorbell rang and she can hear it, but of course nobody else opens the door because other people at parties in movies are dicks by default. So they're all ignoring her when she asks who locked the door too, which that's super weird given it's her house. I mean, I assume it's her house, right? The only thing weirder than making a proper dinner in the middle of a house party is doing it at somebody else's house party. So it ends up being her friend at the door. I don't know this actress. We'll call her Budget Drew Barrymore. Normally that kind of joke implies the actor's like a cheaper, lesser version, but when Drew Barrymore is the subject, it actually has the opposite implication. It's like, don't worry, it's not actually Drew Barrymore. Phew. And there's people outside. How did they get outside? Wasn't the door locked? Does that mean some dick came along and just locked the door for no reason at all and then refused to open it when the host of the party asked him to? What a total dick party guest that guy is. So they can't go into the kitchen because not Drew Barrymore is AVP's ex. These names are getting confusing already. So our main girl, Sinister 2, just ditches the dinner they made and leaves AVP sitting on his own at the table, which is good because we don't like him. So Budget Drew Barrymore's just been to the orange girl's funeral, the one who died in her Zen garden, I'm assuming, along with her expensive green screen cat. Do you think they had a funeral for the cat too? What? My mouth's really dry for some reason. So Sinister 2 is trying to be a good friend by finding out how she's feeling and maybe comforting her the way friends do, but not Drew Barrymore is being all sarcastic with her. Look at her sitting on the window all dramatic like Audrey Hepburn.
Moon River, wider than a mile.
If she talked to me like that, I'd be like, what exactly did you come here for, you sarcastic asshole? And if we're such a close-knit group of friends, why wasn't I at the funeral? I guess I was too busy making dinner in the middle of a big house party and sitting with that AVP douchebag that nobody likes, and I didn't even end up eating the dinner. What are my priorities in this movie? That's what I'd be like. Of course, yep. Drew Barrymore says the pretty orange girl that died wasn't crazy and there's no reason this should have happened because that's what you say in these stories at the 7-minute mark. When not Drew Barrymore's phone rings, she says that's not her ringtone. That has to be the unscariest ringtone I've ever heard. That Hello Moto one's friggin' terrifying compared to that. Remember that one?
Hello, Moto.
So apparently the call's coming from Pretty Orange Girl's phone and it says it's from Monday at 10:17? So genius Sinister 2 turns around and looks at the clock behind her and says,
it's Friday.
The clock's only got the time on it. So the voice message is not Drew Barrymore's own voice screaming and presumably dying. And after hearing something completely fucked up like that, Sinister 2 goes,
That's your voice. That's you.
She's really driving home the fear and panic an event like that would induce. She's definitely got me petrified. If she'd have said that to me after I handed the phone, I'd have been all like, yeah, I know. That's why all the blood just drained out of my face and I handed you the phone, you fuck. Get off the Xanax, Sinister 2. You're not being a good friend to me right now. This guy, that's Edward Burns. He's done like a zillion things that I got no interest in at all. I do know him from Saving Private Ryan, but that's kind of where we part company. Oh, he's also married to Christy Turlington, who was a big deal back when, supermodels were a big deal, I guess. So Christy Turlington's husband is a detective, and his sisters died, apparently. I don't remember seeing that happening at all. Am I missing shit already? It is pretty freaking cool how they've made her belongings look like delicious Chinese takeaway. Detective, I'm so sorry for your loss. Here's your sister's personal effects. We thought you should have them. There's an order of roast duck and a side order of spicy stir-fried scallops, but please remember, they're just a side order. It's barely a few forkfuls. Oh, of course, yeah. He does the Silence of the Lambs tropey thing where he finds something the medical experts didn't find, even though they went to school for it, and they do it all day, every day. And it's another one of those bath bomb things, and it was right inside her mouth. On his way out of the place, he should get the pathologist fired. Like, way to miss the lavender chamomile bath bomb. My sister doesn't even take baths. Don't you know a clue when you see one? But thank you for the Chinese food. And it looks like Drew Barrymore is seeing some seriously distracting stuff outside the window while she's still in class. And it's not distracting because it's somebody on fire. It's more because the special effects are hilariously bad. Look at that. And that's why there's no sign of fear on her face, I'm assuming. I mean, if you saw a person on fire outside of your window, your heart rate would go up a bit, I'm guessing. Unless your teacher's algebra was especially captivating that particular Thursday afternoon. Even better. You go, 2008. She sees CGI centipedes going into Sinister 2's hand, and she's still completely emotionless. This girl is hard. So they bump into each other after the lecture, and Sinister 2 asks her to go for coffee, and Budget Drew Barrymore is like, no, and Sinister 2's like, why are you all weirded out? But she's going, are you all weirded out because they cast both of us in this movie as undergrad students, and you're 27 and I'm like 31? So after her trip to the library, Budget Drew Barrymore walks home, and there's even more stupid special effects. And then she phones Sinister 2 and starts having the actual conversation she heard herself having the night before, and she complains she's seeing things and hearing things. Like, she actually says, that was my voice screaming. Like, she's acknowledging it. If that happened to me, I'd be acknowledging it too. Like, every word in that message would be burnt into my head, given how weird a thing it was, and with everybody else dropping dead around her. But she just walks and talks herself to death. If she was paying attention, like, when you get a sentence or two before whatever it was you were saying when all of the screaming started, you'd stop and you'd back the fuck up like Homer Simpson vanishing into the hedges. She gets no sympathy from us, folks. This is a dumbass. Then Budget Drew calls a number after the train hits her, and then dozens of people are standing around watching the forensics guy remove another bath bomb from her mouth. Because that's totally how they do post-mortem forensic investigations. Like, just right there, wherever it happened. No tents, no blankets, no police tape. Maybe it's the setting itself. Detective, should we throw tape around the perimeter to keep these people back to preserve the integrity of the crime scene and the dignity of the deceased? And the detective would be like, no, it's fine. These are clearly university students. They're all okay to watch. Maybe just get one of the gumshoes to go and make sure they've all got valid student IDs. Meanwhile, back at the frat house, I guess, two of the girls are talking about whatever happened, and AVP loses his shit on them. Like, first he says what they're talking about isn't appropriate, which, okay, maybe I'll give him that. Then he screams at them and points out the victim's parents are in the room behind them. Now, I'm going to ignore the fact they're having a wake in a frat house with everybody all dressed up and sticking to the floor, but isn't him screaming at the girls way less appropriate than them whispering things to each other as far away from everyone else as they physically possibly can be without tripping over the patio railing? So AVP storms off in a huff because the funeral's definitely about him, and Sinister 2 follows him because he's charming, and who wouldn't follow him, right? I wouldn't have followed him. I believe him to be a dick. But apparently he's got one of the voice messages now too, and he's seeing all the same shitty special effects not Drew Barrymore was. So he explains all the fucked up shit that's happening to him, like he's confiding in her as his friend, and she's like there for him, and then he storms off again saying he doesn't believe in any of the shit he just whined about. That was the worst scene anybody ever wrote, I think. Every second in a well-written movie should be accounted for. Whatever happens has to be revealing character or advancing the plot. But everything works out okay in the end because a random Final Destination ripoff accident sends a bar straight through his spine. Wouldn't the spine bit make him like an instant jellyfish, though? Like, it's right up the middle. That would have turned him into a sandwich bag full of Pepsi. Whatever, actually. As long as AVP's dead, I am good with it. And he coughs up his own bath bomb, and I hope it was painful, gross, and not a Malteser because they are lovely, and he doesn't deserve one. So Sinister 2 goes to the cops, and Margaret Cho? I don't feel either way about her. As somebody who's plastered and tattoos myself, I'm always suspicious of people who cover themselves in them in their 30s, but that's just me digressing all over this movie commentary. Sorry. And of course, Cho can't believe anything Sinister 2's saying because that's the trope that they've written her into. After she leaves, Christy Turlington's husband sprints out after her and grabs her forcefully from behind while he's still mid-stride running, and then he says,
Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you.
maybe call out her name before you're even close to her, or don't grab her arm in the first place, or she's just given a statement to your partner, you've got her number, phone her. Oh my god. After all that, he gives her his business card and tells her to get in touch with him if she can come up with anything to help him figure out what happened to his sister. He's a detective. He detects things professionally. It's right in his job title. Otherwise, they'd call him something else. Hello, this is Insensitive Delegator Jones. I'm working on your best friend's homicide case. Would you mind just doing all the work for me and writing everything down when you have it done and put it on my desk by Monday morning? That's the girl dead AVP was shouting at on the patio at the wake, so she's upset thinking she's going to be next because her number is in AVP's phone. Most of us have loads of numbers in our phones. I think she's being a little bit me for 2009. Girls didn't get as bad as they are now until like 2014, right? That was just a joke. Sinister 2 comes up with a super solid solution to their problem. Whenever a malevolent, arbitrary, supernatural entity starts killing people through their cell phones, just turn them off. Just turn them off. I bet the evil spirit or whatever it is all like, oh, you really got me there. I never thought of that one, you. So they destroy their phones, and they were expensive in 2009. Not that they're cheap now, but so they pull the batteries out of them and they toss them onto the couch, but one of them rings anyways. And instead of following through on the logic that inspired them to destroy the phones in the first place like 8 minutes ago, they answered the phone. They smashed them for literally no reason. And then they destroy the phone again. It didn't work the first time, so they do the exact same thing 5 minutes later. Back at the frat house / funeral home, some frickin' guy's waiting for them on the... That's Ray Wise. He's been in loads of decent things, actually. He was Laura Palmer's dad in Twin Peaks, and he was in Swamp Thing, and he was in Two Jeepers Creepers. Was he in two? To be honest, my memories of 3 are sketchy at best, and I can't even talk about 4 without going to counseling. Apparently he's playing some reality show host or something similar. He hands her his phone to get her to reenact what happened? The hell did he want her to do? Like act out what it looks like answering a phone? Oh, this is brilliant. This is when you know a movie doesn't give a shit about you. She's wide awake after getting 0 sleep. Her alarm's gone off at 7 a.m. We've all been there. Well, some of us have been there. I have definitely been there. And it's the worst feeling ever, but she looks perfect. Fuck off, movie. So Christy Turlington's husband shows up first thing in the morning, and after a week of hardcore detecting, he confirms the phone calls were made from the phones. Not bad, dude. I bet you he even delegated that to somebody else. So they go to some apartment and nobody's there, so Turlington's husband says he wants to get the superintendent so they can get in, but Sinister 2 says they should just break in instead, and he's like, no, I'm a cop. And she's like,
I'm not.
and when she can't jimmy the door, he just does it anyways. We all just sat there watching this scene walk us in a complete fucking pointless circle. Inside the apartment, they find somebody's inhaler, and Turlington's husband gives it a squeeze for some reason, and that sends Sinister 2 running for the door because apparently...
That noise. I heard it both times before Leanne and Brian.
I didn't hear it myself. It's not exactly a distinct sound or a loud sound or a scary sound. Where the hell are they now? Are they in the police station? Like looking at all these files? Doesn't it kind of feel like she shouldn't be there? Then they say loads of things to each other about what happened to Turlington's husband's sister, and I'm not understanding any of this. But wow, what a coincidence. While they're standing there, wherever they are, I'm still not sure of the setting, Ray Wise's reality show's on the TV next to them. And his newest episode is starring Sinister 2's friend. Like, that's how TV works. You film an episode and it goes straight on that minute. Brilliant. So Sinister 2 and Turlington's husband race over there like somebody's about to get shot, but they're doing an exorcism on her phone. They're doing an exorcism on her phone. They're doing an exorcism on her phone. Wait, they just destroyed her phone a few scenes ago, didn't they? Didn't they? And whatever, her friend dies and a bath bomb flies out of her mouth, and then Sinister 2's phone rings, and it's the unscariest thing that's ever happened. So she's gonna die tomorrow, apparently. Wonder if we can speed that up somehow, like maybe bring the appointment forward a few hours. Do you guys mind if we watch the rest of this movie at double speed? So now Turlington's husband gets a voicemail from Sinister 2, so he follows the brilliant logic from earlier and tosses his phone into a fish tank. And now we're treated to a weird flashback to Sinister 2's mom, I guess? So her mom's abusive, okay? Very common for abused kids to live in beautiful homes like this one. And before anybody gets upset, of course, I understand abuse comes in all shapes and sizes. I'm just saying I would prefer to have that duvet to cuddle with afterwards than a coat hanger I twisted up into the shape of my best friend. Ooh, then she finds her dad twisting in the wind. Now I've got that sinking feeling. Obviously, this will be edited by the time you guys see it, but I literally commented line for line for the whole movie, but I had to have missed something. Why the fuck are we seeing a flashback at the 45-minute point of something seemingly totally unrelated? And who the hell is this little kid? And Sinister 2 seriously justifies her nickname here with their mothering skills.
Look at me. Can you tell us? Do you know? Can you say something?
And then Sinister 2 heads to the library to research a hospital fire, which I'm now guessing was the first of the two prologues at the start of this. And I'm also guessing they're trying to track down the mother of this little blonde girl, and I'm guessing that because she said this.
She was a sick woman, a child abuser. So what if her body is still inside and her spirit's there, moving through the phones, attacking people?
That is some doozy writing right there. Say the lines along with her at home, everybody. So she goes to the burnt out hospital because the movie's almost over, and that's what the formula dictates, and it's all standing up and burnt out and totally easy to get into because derelict movie buildings always are. Oh look, a baby. How's that for award-winning CGI? Oh my god, that's terrible. Comes across a dead body with a cell phone in its hand, and it's working, of course. Keeping with what's worked for her in the past, she destroys the phone for like the 5th time in half an hour. Then the body chases her and climbs on top of her, and then the body falls off of her, and Turlington's husband shows up. And they finally get out of the place, but one of the cops picks up Sinister 2's phone, which I believe is the one Turlington's husband gave her. And sincerely, you guys should thank me. They've been playing the ringtone over the soundtrack for like the last 20 minutes. You know, easily I could have done my own version of this and played it over this review to torture you guys. Watch. "20 minutes. As unprofessional as it sounds, some stuff happens here that I am wholeheartedly just not understanding. And it's not the medication. They're probably the only reason this movie is still on. Turlington's husband comes around in a panic at the last minute for the horror ending, and things aren't what we thought they were, and I personally completely believe that because I haven't got the foggiest idea what's going on now. I think a ghost came and saved her in the end. Maybe? Let's go with that. A ghost came and saved her in the end. And there you have it, folks. One missed call. I'm gonna give it 0 out of 10 because, to be honest, it's probably just easier to pretend this movie never happened. I would like to apologize to you good folks for the quality of this movie, if you're still here, that is. And if you're not still here, I fully understand. And to you specifically, Zara, who challenged me to get to the end of this movie, I have done it. And all it took was a handful of painkillers. Until next time, folks. Hollywood. You bunch of fucking weirdos, Hollywood. Oh my god. Oh my god. Moon River, wider. It's me, Johnny, from that video you just loved. And I know you loved it because you're still here. And seeing as you are still here, you should probably go down there and smash me in the face to subscribe. And seeing as you just smashed me in the face, you should probably do something nice to make up for it, like maybe watching this next video. Do it.